Are you ready for a financial awakening? Millions of American retirees are about to face a rude awakening when they check their Social Security benefits next month. Three major changes are coming on April 1 that could dramatically impact your retirement income, and most people have no idea they're coming. What happens when the safety net you've counted on for decades suddenly changes the rules? How will these new policies affect your monthly income? And most importantly, what can you do now to protect yourself before it's too late? Before we dive into these critical changes, if you're concerned about your retirement security, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I release new videos every Tuesday and Friday with essential updates that could save your retirement. And if you know anyone collecting Social Security or nearing retirement age, share this video immediately. They'll thank you later. Welcome back to Retirement Roadmap, where we cut through the noise to bring you the financial truth. I'm Michael Stevens, and after spending over 25 years as a financial advisor specializing in retirement planning, I've never seen Social Security changes this significant implemented so quickly and with so little public awareness. Today's video is the result of weeks of research, interviews with Social Security Administration officials, and consultations with top retirement policy experts. What I discovered will affect millions of Americans, yet most mainstream media outlets haven't given these changes the attention they deserve. Why? Because understanding the implications requires diving into complex policy details that don't make for flashy headlines. But for anyone collecting Social Security benefits or planning to in the future, these changes could mean thousands of dollars gained or lost over your retirement years. So let's break down these three major shifts coming on April 1st, what they mean for your financial future, and exactly what steps you should take now. The first major change concerns how the annual cost of living adjustment is being implemented. For decades, Social Security recipients have received their COLA increases spread evenly throughout the year. But starting April 1, the Social Security Administration is implementing a new phased distribution approach that will dramatically alter when and how beneficiaries receive their inflation adjustments. Instead of receiving the full COLA percentage increase immediately, beneficiaries will see their increases phased in over 3 adjustment periods. This means that although the total annual increase remains the same on paper, the actual monthly payments during the first 2 quarters of the year will be lower than what recipients would have received under the previous system. Why does this matter? Consider this. For a retiree receiving the average monthly benefit of $1,800, the difference between receiving the full COLA immediately versus the new phased approach could mean approximately $740 less in their pocket during the first 6 months of the year. For seniors on fixed incomes who carefully budget their expenses, this timing shift creates serious cash flow challenges. What's particularly concerning is how this change was announced, buried in a technical bulletin on the SSA website rather than communicated clearly to beneficiaries. When I asked one Social Security Administration representative about this, they acknowledged that most beneficiaries probably aren't aware of the implementation change. Is this intentional obfuscation or simply poor communication? You decide. The real question is, how will this affect your monthly budget? Have you planned for potentially receiving hundreds of dollars less during the first half of the year? And what expenses might you need to postpone until your full COLA kicks in during the later months? The second major change coming April 1 involves a dramatic expansion of continuing disability reviews for Social Security disability insurance recipients. The SSA is launching what they're calling the Medical Review Acceleration Program, which will triple the number of medical reviews conducted annually. If you're one of the approximately 7.6 million Americans receiving SSDI benefits, this should immediately grab your attention. Under this new program, the SSA will conduct over 8 million medical reviews in the coming year, a staggering increase from the roughly 600,000 reviews conducted in 2023. What makes this particularly challenging is the burden placed on beneficiaries during the review process. Recipients must gather extensive medical documentation, attend consultative exams, and navigate a complex bureaucratic process, all while managing the very disabilities that qualified them for benefits in the first place. For many with chronic conditions, this creates an almost impossible situation. This is essentially asking people with serious impairments to reprove their disability on an accelerated timeline, explained Dr. Catherine Thompson, a disability policy researcher I interviewed for this video. Many legitimately disabled individuals simply lack the resources or capacity to effectively respond to these reviews, putting their benefits at serious risk. So what does this mean for you or your loved ones receiving disability benefits? Have you received notification of an upcoming review? Do you have a contingency plan if benefits are suspended during the review process? And most importantly, are your medical records thoroughly documenting your ongoing condition? This change will particularly impact the roughly 3.4 million Americans who work part-time while collecting early Social Security benefits. For someone earning $30,000 annually while receiving early benefits, this threshold reduction could result in approximately $900 less in Social Security payments over the year. What makes this change especially challenging is its interaction with the rising cost of living. Many seniors have taken part-time jobs specifically to combat inflation, only to now face steeper benefit reductions for those same earnings. It creates a troubling catch-22. Work more to afford rising costs, but lose more of your Social Security if you do. It's effectively moving the goalposts for working seniors, noted Eleanor Martinez, a retirement planning specialist I consulted for this analysis. Just as more retirees need supplemental income to manage inflation, the penalties for earning that income are becoming more severe. The fundamental question this raises is whether working while collecting early Social Security will still make financial sense for you. Have you recalculated your net income under these new rules? Might you be better off either working more hours to compensate for the reduced benefits, or, conversely, reducing your work hours to stay under the new lower threshold? What makes these three changes particularly significant is their combined effect. While each change individually might seem manageable, together they create a perfect storm for many retirees and disability recipients. The COLA implementation restructuring affects cash flow timing. The medical review acceleration threatens disability benefits continuity. And the earnings test recalculation reduces income for working seniors. To truly understand these changes, we need to examine the broader context. These modifications come amid increasing concerns about Social Security's long-term solvency. The latest trustees report projects that without congressional action, the Social Security trust funds will be depleted by 2034, at which point benefits would need to be cut by approximately 20%. These administrative changes appear to be attempting to extend the program's viability without legislative action. In our current politically polarized environment, comprehensive Social Security reform seems increasingly unlikely before the trust fund depletion date. Instead, we're seeing these administrative adjustments that technically comply with existing law while effectively reducing near-term program costs. What's particularly troubling is how these changes disproportionately affect the most vulnerable beneficiaries, those with disabilities facing intensified reviews, working seniors struggling to supplement inadequate benefits, and lower-income retirees who can least afford timing disruptions in their COLA increases. These changes represent a fundamental shift in how Social Security operates, explained Dr. Robert Jameson, an economist specializing in retirement security whom I interviewed for this video. We're seeing the program gradually transition from one that provided relatively straightforward, predictable benefits to one that's increasingly complex and variable in its support. So what concrete action should you take before these April 1 changes take effect? For everyone affected by the COLA implementation restructuring, review your monthly budget immediately. Identify non-essential expenses that could be deferred to later in the year when your full COLA takes effect. Consider whether spreading out larger bills like property taxes or insurance premiums might help manage this cash flow disruption. If you're receiving disability benefits, proactively gather and update your medical documentation now before receiving a review notice. Contact your healthcare providers to ensure they have thoroughly documented your ongoing condition and limitations. Consider requesting a supportive letter from your primary physician that specifically addresses your continued eligibility under SSA guidelines. For working seniors affected by the earnings test threshold recalculation, run the numbers under the new formula. Determine whether adjusting your work hours up or down makes more financial sense. Some may benefit from working just enough to stay under the new lower threshold, while others might be better off working significantly more to offset the reduced benefits. Regardless of which category you fall into, now is the time to review your overall retirement income strategy. These changes highlight the danger of over-reliance on Social Security. Could you diversify your income streams through part-time work, passive income opportunities, or tapping into home equity through options like a reverse mortgage or home equity line of credit? Also, don't underestimate the power of becoming politically engaged on these issues. Contact your congressional representatives to express concerns about these administrative changes and the need for comprehensive Social Security reform. Remember that program policies respond to constituent pressure, and collective advocacy can influence future adjustments. These 3 April 1 changes represent a significant shift in how Social Security operates, a shift that will affect millions of Americans in very real financial ways. While the mainstream media focuses on flashier headlines, these administrative changes quietly reshape a program that over 69 million Americans depend on. What we're witnessing is the beginning of a transformation in America's most important social safety net. As demographic realities and political gridlock constrain the program, administrative adjustments like these will likely become more common and more impactful. Understanding these changes and proactively adapting to them is no longer optional for those who want to secure their retirement. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these changes. Are you affected by any of these modifications? What steps are you taking to prepare? Drop a comment below and let's continue this important conversation. If you found this information valuable, please hit that like button and share this video with friends and family members who might be affected. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my upcoming videos on maximizing your retirement security in this changing landscape.